What's up, America, and welcome to an all-new edition of the Friday Night Pigskin presented by MTD Products and Shelby. But you're going to be real happy that you did, because we got a ton of flavor on the way, everything that you need to know about what happened in high school football right here in North Central Ohio. Oh, guess what? We've got that on the way for you. My name is Skowronski. I'm the host, but guess what? We got a whole bunch of other people over here hard at work, the whole crew, the team, working late night, getting everything together. You see Travis, Andy, Hayden really putting in a lot of hard work right now. YG Man and Storm getting those highlights looking super duper fresh. But what we need to do, folks, now, let's get that perspective from the coach's corner. Guess who's back in it? The one, the only, Eric Will joining me here tonight. So thanks, Coach. Another wild week of football, week 2 in the books. Let's begin where your game was tonight. You seen Lexington and Shelby, and it appears that maybe the MOAC title race kind of just a one-team deal, ain't it?
Yeah, Shelby looked really good tonight. They did a great job. When their starters were in the game, it was a 45-7 game, I believe, and then obviously there was the running clock, and Lexington did a nice job of competing all the way to the end. I thought Marshall Shepard was on point tonight. That dude is just throwing the ball all over. He's probably going to be well over 700 yards through the air. You're probably looking at accounting for 12 touchdowns. You know, we're going to talk about this probably in a little bit. There's no doubt he's one of the best players, if not the best player in the area right now. He is just balling out with, you know, what I call the four horsemen. Those four wide receivers are unreal. So Shelby's playing at a really high level, and each week they've gotten better. So the competition has, because you went from Madison week 1, Lexington week 2, and I thought Lexington actually did some things pretty well. Defensively, schematically, they were sound. It's no shame. Shelby's just a pretty darn good football team. Offensively, Lexington was able to get the ground going a little bit, but there were too many times that they ended up playing behind the chains, or there might have been a turnover. Andre Hill also had 2 interceptions in that game. He's a heck of a football player. And then moving into next week, week 3, they got to go to Bellevue. So we'll kind of figure it out another phase of this Shelby team next week.
So that's in the MOAC and the OCC. I think that there were a couple of surprising scores tonight. Mansfield Senior really walked all over Marion Harding, and then Ashland got shut out on the road. Eric, we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But first, let's dive into our scorebook like we're going to do every single week here on the show, and begin with the Firelands Conference. Take you through every single final score from throughout the area. As we dive right into these scores here, Eric, you're going to see 3 teams in the Firelands Conference are now at 2-0. Let's begin with that outcome at Bucyrus, where the Cougars all over in Redmond got off to a week 1 win. Crestview, though, 2-0, and they have slaughtered both opponents.
Yeah, Crestview's on a mission right now. There's no doubt about it. They're playing high-level football. They're running the ball well. You know, the stack that they've implemented from Coach Scheid is definitely playing really, really well. I also think Bucyrus has probably got a little bit to do with that as well. Crestview's playing really good football, and Bucyrus is still trying to build that program. So that's a great win for Crestview. There's no doubt about that.
And you see Monroeville dipping to 0-2. They've been a contender each of the last few seasons, so maybe some emerging teams that were in the middle of the pack or the bottom, maybe Plymouth could be that team this year. Yeah, I love their running back. They got a really nice-looking team over there. I think where they're going to struggle is when they start playing teams that are probably a little bit more well-rounded, like a Crestview. I even like Western Reserve. I think Western Reserve's balling out. And then obviously you always have St. Paul. St. Paul's always going to be in that conversation. I think at the beginning of the year we talked about this, Brian. This is probably going to be the most competitive team at the top, or competitive league, at the top with those 3 or 4 teams. There's no doubt about it. I mean, even South Central giving Northmore a great game after a nice win week 1. Let's talk more about the KMAC and go ahead and check out all the scores there. You mentioned the Golden Knights got a nice big dub. They are at 2-0 on the season, as are East Knox. And then, man, the score that really stands out that we had live and free for you tonight, Centerburg, 49-0. They just hammered Grandview Heights. Yeah, Grandview Heights walked right into a storm right there. Literally. Was there a delay down there? I think there was probably a delay down there in that game. It seemed like everything south was a delay. I think the people in Centerburg are probably pretty excited. They're known for their football team instead of just being the center of the state. So because of that, people are going to be coming out and watching them. It's great to see football in Centerburg playing at such a high level. There's no doubt that they have a lot to be happy about down there. Certainly balling out in the heart of Ohio, almost dropping a 50-burger in a big win. And then East Knox moving to 2-0. Just those 2 teams right now tied at the top of the stack in the KMAC. Let's move on to the MOAC, where we kind of made the argument already that this might be a bit of a boring race. Shelby clearly looks like they're head and shoulders above the rest. If there's a number 2, though, in this mix, Eric, can you pick one out yet?
You know, going into this year, I would have thought it was River Valley, but they've really struggled the first 2 weeks. I know that they're 2-0, but it's not a real pretty 2-0. Now, having said that, you don't apologize for being 2-0. I think Gallion has a nice athlete or two. The Donaldson kid's a nice-looking ball player, but I don't think that's going to be enough to beat Shelby. I like Clear Fork, but I still think that they're a year away. And, you know, so for me, Shelby is definitely the cream of the crop. I think actually after 2 weeks, I'm probably more convinced that they are the best team by probably a pretty wide margin. Brian, I think we thought that there might be a little bit of a gap close this year, just with Owen Fisher and Merrick Albert, some of those guys going off last year's team. And to be honest with you, they're just kind of beating people up just through the air, and their defense is as stingy as it's always been. So, you know, Madison victim 1, Lexington victim 2, and then, you know, I just think in that conference right now, I want to be able to see the team that can line up athlete for athlete in the perimeter on the secondary, because if you can't hold Shelby under 40 points, you're not winning the football game.
Well, Lexington was unable to do that tonight. We're going to have highlights of that game as well as the Cary Gallion game, Clear Fork and Granville as well, all on the way. And oh, don't forget about those Mansfield TY Tigers with a big win. But first, let's check out some scores before we get into the OCC from the Northern 10 Conference. And this is another one. I don't really know where to pinpoint quite yet who that secondary team is, but it certainly seems like at this point, Colonel Crawford, boy, they're back and you know they're playing like they mean business.
No doubt about it. Colonel Crawford's definitely been probably the biggest eye-opener for the first 2 weeks. I like Winford, bounce-back win this week against Pleasant. That's nice. And Cary. You know, Cary's had a couple of nice teams here the last few years. But for me, just looking at it, I really like Colonel Crawford. Although Upper Sandusky's played really well the first 2 weeks. They got a big win against Mount Gilead tonight. And then you turn around, and last week, I thought they balled out against River Valley. Probably should have won that one. So, you know, I really like what Upper Sandusky's doing. You go back to the mid-2000s when they had McKaylee at quarterback. You know, those were good times in Upper. So not just a basketball school, Brian. They're trying to get that football rolling.
Well, I know last year they were giving up about 48 points per game, so I think that Rams Nation really happy to see their team with the shoe on the other foot this week. All right, let's go into the Ohio Cardinal Conference now, where I mentioned Mansfield Senior. Great performance tonight against Marion Harding. They win 37-6. And then you see Lexington, we already talked about what happened, but the Ashland score, this is one that we were supposed to have the live stream for tonight, and we weren't able to make it up there. I was blown away when I heard this at our game. Are you surprised that Clyde was able to rout them?
Absolutely. Brian, I think out of everything that's up on that board, that Clyde-Ashland game shocked me. I actually picked Ashland to win that game. Wonder if there's an injury situation, if something's going on. That just seems very un-Ashland-like.
Sure.
Very impressed with Madison. Big-time bounce back. Way to compete against River Valley. Actually up 7-0, I believe, at halftime of that game. The TY Tigers just doing what the TY Tigers do. They're bouncing back. It seems like that every other year, Chokey's going to have that team in contention for a major run.
Sure.
And impressed with Worcester. You know, Wadsworth is a quality program in a quality league, and being within a score there, and this is the big one, Brian. I do think West Holmes.
They're the real deal.
I think they're the real deal. I think they're the team to beat. I think if there's going to be a team that can beat them, it's going to be Mansfield. If Mansfield can't beat them, I think it's West Holmes' conference to win. And think about that, Brian, here. What is it, week 6, week 7? West Holmes, they're making the trip to Skiles to play Shelby. So not only is Mansfield Senior playing them in 2 weeks, which we're going to be at that game as well, and I'm really excited about that because I haven't seen this West Holmes team play. I've just seen film of them. Yep. So I'm excited to see those guys in person because I'm hearing great things. They got that running back that's really nice to have right next to your quarterback. Quarterback's throwing great balls to a couple of good athletes on the edge. Excited to see those guys.
Yeah, I hear the Knights actually got about 3 running backs that all deserve playing time. So
right.
They're going to be a handful for anybody in the OCC. They're actually 2-0, as is Mansfield Senior. They're the 2 teams at the top of the league right now. And like I mentioned, we're going to have moving pictures for those coming up. And the team out here getting their highlights all put together. And we've got Andy Jardy standing by. He's going to give you a little taste of what's still to come here tonight.
That is correct, Brian. Thank you. So we do have some highlights coming up here for you, and our talented team of reporters over here busily working on their highlights. And Travis, first off, what have you got coming up here for us?
Well, coming up, I have highlights from South Central and Northmore. Big matchup of undefeateds. Two big stats I'm going to come at you. One from each side, just blowing up the stats numbers, and by the end of the week might be at the top of the stat leaders in the area.
Color me intrigued, Travis. Well done. Storm, where were you tonight? What have we got?
Of course, I was at WW Skiles Field, and it's going to be a mystery. Did Shelby, win, or did Lexington win? You'll find out when I'm on the segment. But you guys already know that Shelby won.
All good. We'll see how they got it done, though. That's what I'm most excited to see. G-Man, what have you got for us?
Well, Jardy, I was out at Galleon to see Galleon versus Cary. Now, Galleon was up big at the half. Did Cary be able to come back and beat Galleon on the road? Make sure to stay tuned and see the moving pictures.
And I will have highlights of Mansfield Senior's big win over Marion Harding on the other side of the break. I'll be joining Brian, so stick with us.
It's now highlight time on the Friday Night Pigskin presented by MTD Products in Shelby, and we are going to roll out our first moving picture of the night with this great-looking gentleman to my left, Andrew Jardy. We both call the Harding versus Mansfield Senior game tonight. It's a long rivalry, renewed after 7 years off. Wasn't much of a rivalry game, though, in terms of the overall output. Kind of one-sided.
It felt like a rivalry game until it started, because there was a lot of buzz going into the game. The field was pretty good. Harding brought a good crowd on the road with them. But, yeah, this one got out of hand quickly in the second quarter for Mansfield, for Marion Harding.
All right, let's go ahead and show you how this all shook out tonight over at Arlen Field.
Yeah, let's get things started. It was 3-0 after the first quarter, and then that's where things went crazy for Mansfield Senior, as there's Ricky Mills with the 11-yard touchdown run. That made it 10-0. Here's the highlight of the night for Marion Harding. Caden Fags is going to take this one all the way to the house. A 94-yard touchdown return on the kickoff, and that felt like we might have a ball game, but that was not the case here tonight. That made it 10-6, but a quick response from Mansfield Senior as Brock Hill, I said it all night, Brian, Brock solid.
Yes, sir.
With his performance, as there's a 44-yard touchdown pass to Amar Davis, a kid you really like, the sophomore. He has been a playmaker for them the last 2 years, really starting to step into it this year as well. Here's Miles Bradley catching a 29-yard, they don't come much easier than that, touchdown pass from Brock Hill. That made it 23-6, and then Brock Hill doing it with his feet as well. Take a look at the hit he takes here at the end of this, but it doesn't matter. He keeps going, gets into the end zone. That made it 30-6. Mansfield Senior scored 34 points in the second quarter, capped off here by this, what I thought was a fumble-rooski. It was very much a fumble that just ended up getting into the hands of Mills, who ran it in on the outside. So that made it 37-6, your final over at Arlen Field.
Let's talk about the evolution of Brock Hill. He last year was more of a run-dominant player. Tonight, almost perfect in the passing game, only missed 3 throws, threw for over 200 yards, Andy. He was phenomenal, man. Brock solid, as you said.
Brock solid TM, by the way. So yeah, he was 14 of 17, 234 yards. His 3 incompletions tonight really weren't bad throws. 2 of them went off the receiver's hands, maybe a little high, but he put it where only his receiver could get it, and then the other one was just a little bit short. So his accuracy and precision tonight were on another level.
In this game, at the beginning, it felt like it was going to be a really good game after that kickoff return, but then there was a decision made on a 4th down from the own 29-yard line of Harding. They didn't get it. Tiger scored on the next play. You felt like that kind of turned the tables for the rest of the night.
That, to me, was where the game was over. It was 17-6. Marion Harding has 4th and short on their own 29-yard line. They went for it instead of opting to punt. I didn't like the call, and they didn't convert it. And then the very next play, touchdown pass, made it 23-6. That was kind of where it was like, okay, this is a done deal. Mansfield Senior's got this one in the bag.
Got to give a ton of credit, though, to that Tigers D. They were good at every single level tonight, from the front to the linebacker position, filling gaps, and then that secondary, we already know how special those athletes are.
Yeah, I mean, they forced 3 turnovers in the first quarter last week against Norwalk. They forced 2 tonight, 1 in the first quarter and 1 a little bit later on in the game. But yeah, they were all over the field tonight. Anytime it looked like Marion Harding had space in front of them to do something, quickly wiped away by the defense. Impressive stuff from the TY Tigers tonight, and they look a lot better this year than they did last year.
Supposed to play their first 4 at home, but we got a little bit of breaking news that actually they're going to be going on the road. This isn't a done deal yet, not signed on the dotted line, but we're pretty sure playing North Canton Hoover.
Yeah, that's what we are led to believe, but they're waiting to officially dot their I's and cross their T's.
So you heard it here first, right here on the Always Report. Not going to be playing at home against Lima next week. Going to be going on the road. Andy, thanks. Good stuff as always, man. Appreciate it. All right, over to my right now. This gentleman had a sizzling hot take last week. He told me right here on this very program that not only were the Shelby Whippets going to play undefeated Lexington at their place, but they was going to stomp them into the ground. Storm, I think you might be onto something.
I think I was right. I think that they did. I think they did all the stomping they could, and who else but Marshall Shepard, of course, doing what he does, tossing to, as Eric Will would say, the 4 horsemen. Can't get much better than that, but we'll quit talking. We'll show you the moving pictures, getting things started. Who else? Of course, but Marshall Shepard putting their fingers on it early, connecting with his partner in crime, Blaine Bowman, on a 17-yard toss into the end zone. Then Shepard again, but this time sharing the love with Isaiah Ramsey on a 4-yard laser beam to go up 14-0, and the Red Rage loving every second of it. If things continue like this, however, people are going to get really sick and tired of me talking about that dude, Marshall Shepard, rumbling, bumbling, and tumbling his way into the end zone. The Red Rage still loving things. Lexington, however, would finally get on the board in the second quarter when Carson Berry, as Chris Smoove would say, turning on the Jets and flies into the big house with a 55-yard dash. And then speaking of speed, anything you can do, Andre Hill can do better, as he shows off the speed, leaving flames on the field as he skirts 79 yards right into the Red Rage, and they were having a lot of fun. Third quarter now, Shepard 3-step drop touch pass puts it right into the breadbasket. Andre Hill again on a 52-yard touchdown, and despite the onslaught from Shelby, Lexington would not go away. A couple of rushing touchdowns right there. Carson Berry would put a bow on things with a 36-yard touchdown, showing off the wheels, and that would be your final from WW Skiles, 45-28.
Storm, let's not sugarcoat this thing. This is all about just 2 words. Marshall, Maximus, Meridius, Footballidus, Shepard, man. That dude, are you not entertained? Like, tell me more about this guy. He goes out there, he slays the Dragons every single week. He's the best that we have in the area, right? Number one.
Oh, number one by far. Far and away. No one else even in the same galaxy, I don't think. I don't have quite as clever as a pun as Andy Giardi does, but Marshall Shepard, the dude puts up video game-like numbers. You should see him running the things in the offense, motioning guys into the backfield, out of the backfield. The dude knows what he's doing.
He's in total control right now, and with the 4 horsemen, it's going to be really, really tough to slow them down. Whippets, top dogs in the MOAC, right? Me and Eric Will talked about it. Maybe not any secondary competition, assuming they stay healthy.
Nope. No competition. None at all, I don't think. Shelby got the conference this year under wrap, and I'd be very surprised if they do not go undefeated. I got to find some wood to knock on, though. I don't want to jinx it.
Next week, they have a big battle, one of the longest rivalries in the entire state. Going to be playing Bellevue. You got any more hot takes for us, Storm? What are you feeling about next week?
You know, I can't say Shelby by 50. Shelby by 60! 60 this
this time 60 points. That's my hot take. Shelby in another blowout win.
All right, speaking of blowing out, someone get the fire extinguisher. Cool this man off. He is too hot for TV right now. Thank you, Storm. All right, let's move it over here to my left now, where we've got Josh Pollock joining me. He was down in the heart of Ohio tonight. And Josh, you seen the Centerburg Trojans, maybe with the most dominant performance of the night. Tell me more.
Yes, from start to finish, it was all Centerburg Trojans. Both teams came into the game undefeated. I was a little bit hopeful. I know that Grandview Heights didn't win a game last year.
Oh.
They were going in 1-0 this year. I was hopeful that we would see a better performance out of them, and that did not happen at all, and we can show you exactly why here.
Let's see how it all shook out.
Centerburg coming out of the tunnel, and it was really going early with Tyler Johnson there. He was kind of the star of the show. He had 153 rushes on 15 carries. This is where it got ugly for Grandview Heights. It just twice this happened where you just can't have that. Early on, you just can't have that. And that was also by Evan Merklin who scored that for them. And then Centerburg again here. You're going to have another touchdown by Tyler Johnson. It just seemed like every single time Centerburg handed him the ball, you almost expected it to go all the way. And then the last thing that we have coming up, you guessed it, Tyler Johnson again.
More? There's more?
Always. It seemed like it was just never stopping. Regardless who Centerburg seemed to hand the ball off to, they were taking it to the house. And that's just the story of the night. The rushing game for Centerburg, way, way far superior compared to Grandview Heights.
We're glass half full kind of people here, though, on the program. So give me, what's a positive takeaway for Grandview Heights? They at least won a game this year already, something they couldn't do last year.
Yeah, like you said, they didn't win a game last year. They had a couple of games last year where they just got, dominated. The scores were in the 70s. It was ugly. This one, they had a couple of drives that they started to put together, and then it was just simple mistakes that just got in their way. But there's a lot to I know it's tough when you're down 49-0 to hang your hat on something and move forward. But like you said, you've already got a win under your belt this year. You played a very tough Centerburg team, and you had a couple of nice-looking offensive drives. Your defense had a couple of nice 3-and-outs. You got to move that on to next week.
Tyler Johnson, though, was the star of stars in this game. Why was he so successful? What really sparks that engine?
It just seemed like he was on the defensive side making plays. He was on special teams as a punter making plays. He had 2 dropped interceptions that I know that he wishes he could take back. So his stats don't even really show the true story. He should have had 2 interceptions. He had a punt that he pinned them down right on the 1-yard line on top of 153 yards on 15 carries and 4 touchdowns. It was just the Tyler Johnson show tonight.
Yeah, and it looks like the Trojans going to be the real deal. The defending K-MAC champs looking strong again.
I believe so.
All right. Thanks a lot, Josh. Appreciate it, man. Moving on from the K-MAC over to the MOAC, where the Galleon Tigers like to play, but didn't play as good as their opponent tonight. G-Man, fill in the people who they took on tonight, and what happened?
Well, Brian, it was a very good game. It was a back-and-forth battle, but Cary would eventually score 28 unanswered after halftime and beat Galleon 35-21. But let's roll the highlights and really see what happened. As I mentioned, Brian, it was a back-and-forth battle. Galleon would be up 21-7 at half, but on the first possession of the game, Cary would get the scoring touchdown from Jordan Valero. He had 3 of these puppies.
4th down, too, I see.
3-yard run right there, but Hanif Donaldson, Brian, wasn't going to go out quietly as he rushes this one for 61 yards, and I'm not sure how he avoids every defender and walks the tightrope at the same exact time, but he gets it all tied up at 7 apiece. But Luke Rickle is going to fumble the snap here, and Galleon's Reese Hickman is going to capitalize on this one and take this one in for a scoop and score. This would make it 13-7. Hanif Donaldson would hit the screen man here on the outside for the touchdown. He would cross the pylon. This would be 21-7 at half. Galleon would be up. But after the half, Brian, this is where everything changed. Jordan Vallejo once again getting in for his second score of the game. This would make it 21-13. Cary once again down to Jordan Vallejo for the hat trick. The big boy was rumbling and stumbling all night long, but here is Luke Rickle once again. He got into the end zone himself, and finally Derek Lonsway is going to put this one away with a 57-yard touchdown run to make this a final 35-21. 28 unanswered points, Brian, from Cary after halftime.
Put on your coach's cap, bro. Break it down for me. 28 straight for the Devils. Why did that happen where Gallion wasn't able to A, stop them, and B, answer?
I really think it was the battle in the trenches. Carey, they came out at halftime that shut down Heath Donaldson, and Coach Matt Dick was forced to go to Cooper Kent, the backup quarterback, who's a little bit better passing than Donaldson. Donaldson, obviously a better athlete. But that was really just a battle of attrition, and Carey finally really set in. They got in the second half, and they made the halftime adjustments that really shut down Heath Donaldson on rushing the ball.
Carey's been known for that the last couple of years, having some big, bulky dudes in the trenches. For Gallion moving forward, how big of a factor do you think that's going to be for them, that particular part of the game?
Well, in the latter half of the game, in the fourth quarter, they put in their backup quarterback, Cooper Kent, and he played solid. I mean, he got the ball to Heath Donaldson. That's who they want to get the ball to. He's their best athlete on the team. So I think going forward, I think Coach Dick is going to definitely reevaluate this week, and he might go to Cooper Kent and put Heath Donaldson out wide where he usually is.
Sometimes you like your best athlete to touch the ball on every single play, but we've seen it at other teams, other years. I remember Cade Stover, great example, just didn't work out at quarterback. Kind of did good things at running back. All right, appreciate it, G-Man. All right, Travis Brardy with me now. K-Mac Travis, we like to call him the king over there at the Castle sometimes, and you were at the Castle. You seen Northmore pull out a big win. My friend, tell us all about it. What happened tonight?
Well, this was a game that should have taken place in like week 7 or 8 because these are two really solid teams. I know they're 1-0. They were both 1-0 coming into it, but the way these two teams played, it kind of felt like it was a playoff atmosphere. So, Adam, roll that beautiful bean footage, my friend.
Yay.
Battle of Unbeatens in North Bloomfield Township delayed 45 minutes due to lightning, and it showed as both teams couldn't get going till the end of the first when South Central strikes. Brandon Mitchell finds Hagen Adams on the slant, and he's off to the races. 50 yards, 7-0 Trojans. Get a little celebration there too. Ensuing drive, and the Golden Knights answer. Marcus Cortez hits Trenton Ramos behind the secondary, and then watch this little move here. Whoop! 32 yards, 2-point conversion good, 8-7 Northmore. But on the next drive, Mitchell hits Caden Haller on the bubble screen. Watch the extra effort here. In for 6, 2-point conversion no good, however, 13-8 Trojans. Now time running out in the half. Northmore set up with a 3rd and 14, and watch this play. Cortez, he's going to find a wide open Ramos again. 2-point conversion good again, 16-13 Golden Knights at the break. Fourth quarter now, Northmore up 10, and Mitchell is going to be picked off by Gavin Miller, and he sees daylight. No one will catch him. Game blouses. 51-yard pick 6. Northmore with the big dub, 37-20.
And the Knights, I mean, we want to talk about the four-headed monster over at Shelby. The Four Horsemen, as Eric Will likes to refer to that receiving core. But you feel like this team has the real four-headed monster in the backfield.
Yeah, the backfield. I mean, first off, you have Cortez. He can throw the ball, as you can see, but he also 6 rushes, 97 yards. Max Lauer, the workhorse, had 128 yards last week, 14 carries, 109 yards. Nico Cristo, 12 carries, 100 yards. Garrett Corwin, a workhorse, 9 carries, 82 yards. Coach Armros didn't even use Max Lauer until the final 2 drives of that second half because he had 3 other workhorses. He actually went one running back for one series. He was able to get it into the end zone. Another running back for a series into the end zone, and Max Lauer comes in, finishes the thing off.
And for the Trojans, even though it was a losing effort for them tonight, you feel like their quarterback is the real deal, probably going to rack up a few more wins throughout the rest of the campaign.
Yeah. You guys talk about Marshall Shepard. He's probably going to be the best quarterback, but if he wasn't here, Brandon Mitchell is probably going to be at the top. He was 29 of 39 for 326 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have 3 picks. Now, one of those picks was a little weird. They had a play where it was right before, actually, the play before the interception for a touchdown. The referees screwed up on a penalty or something. They had to move the chains back. They had to figure out where the chains were moved because it was a first down, got called back. There was about a 5-minute delay. He's sitting out there. Everybody's flustered, and then he goes in and throws that 3rd pick. But a couple of those picks in the second half were kind of forced because Northmore's defense wore down the offensive line of South Central. But other than that, in 2 games, he's over 600 yards passing.
Ooh,
yeah.
That's some big numbers.
That is not bad for a kid from South Central. South Central, I think, is the real deal, and they are going to be a competitor in the Firelands.
Well, a team that may not go over 600 yard passing for the entire season, how about the Lucas Cubs? We've got video for them, Travis, so you want to stick around and see what they did against Hillsdale?
Sure thing.
All right, let's go ahead and roll those highlights. Lucas Cubs on the road. taking on the Hillsdale Falcons.
Look at the new stadium in Hillsdale. That's nice, too.
It is beautiful, but maybe I spoke too soon. How about the Cubs putting it up through the air? That's Aiden Color with a 10-yard TD pass from Corbin Toms. That was in the first quarter. And then Hillsdale coming up with an interception. This was in the second with Lucas on top, 7-0. Carter Brightbill next is going to catch a 20-yard TD pass from Jake Haverstock. The extra point would be no good, so it remains Lucas on top. They got 7, Hillsdale 6 on that beautiful new turf. And now another interception coming up for the Cubs, as this is going to get chucked deep, but a little bit too deep. So 2 interceptions for the Falcons in this game, but it wouldn't matter, as Lucas's Grant Barrett would eventually put the Cubs into the end zone coming up here later, I guess. Let's see what happens here first. How about the Cubs playing some defense?
I saw that secondary at their 7-on-7. They are not bad.
Of course they're not bad. It's Lucas. All right, here's Grant Barrett bumbling his way into the end zone, trucking through some people. And now the Lucas Cubs go on top 14-6, but it would not be over, folks. Haverstock, a 9-yard TD run here. The 2-point conversion, no good. So it's 14-12. Lucas, there's about 1 minute remaining coming up here. What's going to happen? Oh, it's a 2-point conversion. No good because of that great coverage by the secondary.
Yeah.
I think the Cubs actually have a pretty fantastic group in the corners and the safeties as well. So
every highlight I've
win.
seen, Lucas defending a 2-point conversion, been knocked down, no good. I mean, you go back to that playoff run with the state championship. Nice Wander with the stop. A couple other games last year and this year. They're really good in the red zone, especially, and as you can see with that really nice interception earlier on. Lucas, the secondary, they're sneaky. We always talk about the rushing game and that line, but that secondary, they're starting to get a name for themselves.
Yeah, RPO, baby, just run power, but then on defense, too, make sure that you get it done at all levels.
TIO, pick it off.
Right now it's working out. All right, we got one more highlight for you guys. Travis, go ahead and stick around. How about Clear Fork at home tonight, taking on Granville? And let's begin with the Aces already set up here in the red zone. And it's going to be Devin Haley getting in for the Bobcats, putting them on the board first as they would take the lead here. Actually, that's Carson Crouch, the quarterback, looking over to the sideline. Now checking that wristband. What are they going to run here, Travis? What's it going to be? It is going to be a pass. He's back. He's airing it out. He's going deep, and he's got a touchdown.
Seam routes seem to be working tonight. I saw multiple highlights where the seam route worked.
It just seems like the passing game really just taken off here in recent times.
And then there's a run.
Here is Devin Haley that I was talking about. This would make it 21-7 in favor of Granville in the fourth quarter. They would tack on one more score, make this thing 28-7. Oh, how about on this play right here, perhaps? Oh, wow, this got to be a top play nominee. Look at the blocking foreman, too. Look at Haley busting down the sideline. That's just beautiful football.
Yeah, you got to give it to the wide receivers. Not stopping when they got by. Gets out in the head, get that key block, gets the pretty much clinching touchdown as Granville once again comes up the Clear Fork, I think, for the second time in 3 years.
Yeah.
Knocks off the Colts, so I mean, they're a solid squad down there in the Columbus area.
They are indeed. So that's all the highlights that we have for you folks here tonight. We're going to take a timeout, and when we come back, we will get you set up, let you see what we have coming your way next week right here on the OH Report. Friday night. Pigskin is back, and I got the gang with me now, and we were just doing a bunch of tallying, figuring out who our winner was this week for the Friday Night Phenoms, as well as the top play of the week. So you, the people of North Central Ohio and beyond, wherever you're voting from, we're glad that you did, and we had 2 winners from the same team. Should I just announce it?
Spoil it.
All right, our top play of the week, we had Mason Tursky of Centerburg. Congratulations, sir. Your 63-yard touchdown catch, which to me was just kind of a normal play. But hey, your boys found you on the Twitter, on the Instagram, on the YouTube, and on the Facebook, and they gave you enough votes to get up over the top. And the quarterback who threw you that ball, that's right, Jack Gregory. He is our Friday Night Phenom from week 1, so congratulations to those 2 Centerburg Trojans. Travis, you got to call that game. You've seen them in person. They did some things right, obviously.
Well, he's no Marshall Shepard, as these guys would like to say, but 300 yards passing, 17 of 30, a couple touchdowns that really turned the tides of the game when it was tied against Utica, and then that dime. I mean, can any of you drop that dime in there for that touchdown pass? I don't think so.
Well, we know that Marshall Shepard can, and I know that Storm has a bit of a beef. The dude put up 6 touchdowns. He wasn't even in the top 3, I don't think, in our Phenom.
Nation, where are you at? You let Marshall Shepard down. Where are you got? He better win it this week.
Hey, K-Mac represent.
I'm gonna have hell to raise at that game next week.
Yeah, that's right. And speaking of the games next week, let's go ahead and show you what we're going to have for you live and free on our broadcast that you can catch always on the Facebook and the YouTube.
That's going to be a good one.
That's going to be a great game. Going to Cougar Country, where these 2 Yahoos are from. They're going to be taking on the East Knox Bulldogs, who also have a piece of your heart. This is a tough game, boys, isn't it? 2 of our faves.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Are we going to have to split you guys up? One be the East Knox, one be the Crestview guy, or
I couldn't
can you
pick.
not?
I couldn't pick. I don't
pick
think.
against these 2.
So we're going to have that battle between 2-0 teams. That's going to be over at Ashland Community Stadium. I'm actually on the call with that, along with Andy Jardy. Looking forward to that next Friday night. We'll also have Tees Valley, the Vikings, invading Arrow Country next Friday as well. It almost doesn't seem like it can work, guys. How are they all going to be playing each other?
I think East Knox and Crestview is a Saturday game.
Is that right?
Yes.
We're going to have to double check our schedule.
Yeah.
This all doesn't seem like it's adding up for us. We know we're going to have football
We've had
games.
a long night, folks, just to say that.
Yeah. It's been a long, hot one, folks. We'll get some clarification there. But this one we know for sure, going down over at Bob Wine Field, where the Winford Royals looking for 2 in a row. The Cubs trying to stay undefeated. That's going to be a great game, guys. I'm really looking forward to that. Going up into the treehouse, as we have set up by Taylor Eisman. Gosh, what a time. What a place over there in Lucas.
I get the joy of being the producer for that game with the WMAN guys, with Eric Will and Aaron Hines. Hayden going to be my camera guy for that, so I am pumped to get back up in that treehouse.
You know what I'm pumped for? Bedtime, guys. It's been a long day. It's been a hot day. I haven't stopped sweating for about 10 hours, and I know these guys are the same. We need to get air conditioning in here. This is brutal. Unbelievable.
That's you, boss.
Thank you guys for watching. We're going to be back and way better than ever next week, so make sure that you tune in for week 3 of the Friday Night Pigskin right here exclusively on the OH Report.